Hi there, let's see in this video. Is a word you hear and see very often in Dutch. And has many meanings and is sometimes a little bit tricky. Because what does mean actually? What does it mean? Well, means there. So there, you recognize in there's also trick to remember there. Or daar also means there. And them also means So let's take a look at 5 ways in which you can use and which translation can be used, or which daar, where you can use daar and where you can use All right. Let's start with the first one and pay attention that some teachers will not use the same categories as the ones I will explain here in this video, but roughly they're the same. All right, so let's take a look at number 1. For example, een auto rijdt in de tuin. That's a bit of a weird example. A car is driving in the garden. I hope there are no cars driving in your garden. Not good for the garden. But you don't see an there because you can add an Instead of saying a car is driving in the garden, you could say there's a car driving in the garden. And in Dutch, that's the same. You can add there. Rijdt een auto in de tuin. And this construction, you will usually use them with indefinite articles. There's a car driving in the garden. So a is an indefinite article because you're not saying that car. So if you have one of those nouns with an indefinite article, then you can just use an and that is something that is very common in Dutch. All right, pay attention to the word order though. Rijdt een auto in de tuin. In English you would say there's a car driving in the garden. All right, so the and then inversion. Second option. In this sentence here, ik werk in Brussel. And in Brussel is a place, so you can replace it by Ik werk For example, if I would be asking you, do you work in Brussels? Yeah, I work there. And then you could say, ik werk And as with the previous example, you can also use daar here. But daar is the stressed version of Not here, there. In Dutch, to say there, well, you have 2 ways. You have daar to specify there at that place, or I work there, yeah, or I work there in that building. So if you want to specify, if you want to put a lot of emphasis on the fact that you work in Brussels, then you can use here, ik werk daar. Ja, ik werk daar. All right? So number 1, indefinite article. Number 2, place. And number 3 is quantities. And quantities is one of the things that the English speakers make the most mistakes with, because it's easy to forget. Let's take an example. We hebben 4 collega's. We have 4 colleagues. If you would ask the question, how many colleagues do you have? Then you wouldn't say in English, well, we have 4 colleagues. No. You would say we have 4. Or we have 4 of them. Something like that. However, in Dutch you have to add We hebben 4. And that is always so with quantities. In this case, you cannot use daar. We hebben daar 4. No. If someone is asking for quantities, then you have to add an Not say we have 4, we have 3 or 1,000. We have there for, literally. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, with prepositions. This is also often forgotten. For example, ik hou van zonsondergangen. And what is a zonsondergang? Well, that's a sunset. So I love sunsets. In Dutch, you have a fixed preposition with to love. So ik hou van, or I like sunsets. When you're having such a preposition and you do not want to repeat die zonsondergangen, then you have to use All right, so for example, if I would be asking you, do you love sunsets? Then in English you would reply, I love them. And in Dutch, well, you could also use them, but what we would tend to do is to say, ik hou ervan. All right? And do not forget to paste the to the preposition. Let's take another example for this one because it's a tricky one. Ik kijk naar die kinderen. I am watching those kids. I'm looking at them. And there you see a preposition, naar, fixed preposition with kijken, to watch or to look at something. If I would be asking the question, kijk je naar die kinderen? Are you watching those kids? Ja, ik kijk naar. Or ik kijk naar ze. That's the thumb there. All right, so that's use number 4. And use number 5 is the least one. It's the least used one. That's with the impersonal things. For example, de mensen werken. The people work. You could also say, in Dutch, work is being done with the passive mode or passive. It's not a tense. Well, in the passive. All right. So then you would say, wordt gewerkt. There is being worked, literally. And that is the least common one of the 5. All right, so remember from the 5, indefinite articles, number 1. Number 2, places. Both of them, you can replace them by daar, and the last one actually also. There is being work done. And number 3 is quantities. Number 4 is prepositions. And number 5 is the impersonal people are working. There you can use or daar as well. All right, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and see you in another video. Tot ziens!